The doctors called it a victory. The scans were clear. The treatments were over. She survived cancer. But when the applause faded and the hospital doors closed behind her, she felt something no one warned her about. Emptiness. Her body was alive, but her hope was not. The future felt heavier than the disease ever had. She did not ask God to heal her anymore. She asked him one question instead. Why am I still here? And in the quiet that followed, God spoke not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly enough to change everything. Survival is not the same as living. People assume survival equals joy. They imagine relief, gratitude, celebration. But survival can feel like standing in the ruins after a storm alive, yet surrounded by what has been lost. Her life had been reduced to appointments, medications, percentages, and prayers for tomorrow. Now that tomorrow had arrived, she did not recognize it. Cancer had given her a purpose: survive. Without it, she felt directionless. The lonely victor. Everyone celebrated her recovery. They called her strong. They called her brave. They called her an inspiration, but strength can be isolating. No one asked how empty she felt. No one expected her to still be tired of fighting, of explaining, of pretending to be grateful. Surviving cancer does not guarantee the return of hope. Sometimes it takes it away. The trauma that remains. Cancer leaves scars beyond the body. Fear lingers. Trust is shaken. Certainty disappears. Every ache feels suspicious. Every silence feels threatening. She lived with the quiet anxiety that life could unravel again at any moment. Hope felt reckless. When gratitude feels impossible, she wanted to be thankful, but gratitude felt forced. People told her she should be happy she was alive. After all, but happiness cannot be commanded, and gratitude without honesty becomes another burden. She felt guilty for feeling empty, and that guilt deepened the silence. Faith, during the fight, during treatment, faith had been practical. Prayers were urgent. Belief was desperate. God felt close because survival depended on him. But after the fight, faith felt distant. She did not need God to save her body anymore. She needed him to explain her soul. The loss no one talks about. Cancer had taken more than health. It had taken her sense of control, her confidence in the future, her belief that life was predictably. She grieved the version of herself that existed before illness, and no one told her that. Grief could exist alongside survival. The silence after the miracle healing does not always come with clarity. God had healed her body, but he was silent about the rest. Silence can feel like abandonment, especially after deliverance. She wondered if God had finished his work and moved on. Beneath the question, her prayers changed. They were no longer about survival. They were about meaning. Why was she spared? What was she supposed to do with this life she nearly lost? Without answers, hope felt fragile. The exhaustion of being strong. She was tired of being resilient, tired of being an example, tired of carrying everyone else's expectations of joy. Strength had kept her alive, but now it was keeping her from healing. The night, hope finally collapsed. Hope did not disappear gradually. It collapsed suddenly, one quiet night. Alone with her thoughts, she realized she was no longer afraid of dying. She was afraid of living without purpose. and for the first time, she admitted the truth. Surviving cancer had not saved her. It had exposed her emptiness. A prayer without courage, she did not pray boldly. She did not ask for direction or passion or calling. She whispered, "If you still have something for me, tell me." There was no confidence in her voice, only surrender. "God, speak softly." God did not answer immediately. He did not overwhelm her with vision or command. Instead, he spoke quietly through memory, through stillness, through an unshakable sense of presence. She felt known, not as a survivor, not as a testimony, but as a daughter. Not why you lived, but how. Did not explain why she survived. He showed her how to live, not chasing certainty, not waiting for guarantees, not measuring life by safety, but by trust. Hope redefined. Hope was no longer optimism. It was not believing everything would be easy or painless. Hope became the courage to live fully despite uncertainty. Cancer had taught her how fragile life is. God taught her how sacred it is. Learning to live with uncertainty, she stopped demanding control. She stopped asking for timelines. She learned to live in the present, not because it was safe, but because it was given. Faith replaced fear, not perfectly, but daily. The purpose, hidden in pain, her suffering did not become meaningless. It became language. She could sit with others in fear without flinching. She could listen without fixing. She could speak hope without pretending. Her pain became compassion. God did not waste her survival. God did not save her so she could return to her old life. He saved her so she could live differently, more honest, more present, more surrendered. When God speaks, hope returns. God did not shout. He reassured, and that reassurance restored what cancer could not touch. Hope, not hope in outcomes, but hope in Him. Living after the answer life did not suddenly become easy. Fear still visited. Doubt still whispered. But hope no longer depended on circumstances. It rested in relationship. A new measure of healing. Healing was no longer just physical. It was spiritual, emotional, existential. She was no longer just alive. She was awake for those who survived but feel lost, who survived illness but lost hope. You are not ungrateful. You are not broken. You are being invited deeper. The final truth: she survived cancer. That was the miracle everyone saw. But when hope was gone, and answers were absent, and faith felt thin, God spoke. And in that quiet voice, she found not just survival, but life.